Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Scientific Activation at Home. My name is Melissa Rondo and I'm the Senior Vice President of Clinical Services at Symbiotics. Today we're going to talk about our lungs and how we breathe. I bet you don't even think about how you breathe on a daily basis. I know I don't. But the reality is there's actually a lot to it. So we're going to do a two-part demonstration today. The first part, we're going to learn about how our lungs work through a simple model using things that you probably already have at home. In the second part of our demonstration, we're going to learn a little bit more about asthma, which is a condition that affects how you're able to breathe. Okay, so what you're going to need today is first a plastic cup. You can also use a plastic water bottle or a plastic soda bottle. Those will work as well. Just make sure that it's A, clear, and B, that you're able to put a hole in it. So I'm not going to show you how to put the hole in your cup today. So make sure you get your parents involved. They can cut it, they can drill it, they can burn it. There are a variety of options, but we want to make sure that you do it in a safe way. If you do use a soda or water bottle, make sure that you put the hole in the bottle cap. That's really important for how you're going to do this experiment. You're also going to need straws. So you want to have probably a few straws on hand. We're going to use 2 in the first part and 1 more in the second. I think the bendable ones are the best for this type of a demonstration, but if you don't have it, you can certainly make it work with the straight straws. You're also going to need some balloons. Colors don't really matter. Just make sure they're on the smaller size and that they're really flexible. You're also going to need scissors and tape. Very important. And make sure that whenever you're using the scissors that you have your parents around and that you're doing things safely. Let's get started with our model. So the first thing that we're going to do is create our trachea. So if you're not familiar, I've got a picture of the trachea and the lungs on your screen. So you can see that when you inhale, the air travels through the trachea, which is also known as the windpipe, and down into your lungs. So our straws are going to serve as that windpipe going into your lungs. And ultimately what you're going to want to create is something that looks like a Y. We're actually going to do it with 1 straw, and we're going to snip the top bendy part. We're just going to make a little snip. You don't want it to be too big, but enough that you can get the other straw inserted in that space. So we snipped that off. That might be a little small, but we'll try it. Then you're going to want to take the second straw and you're going to want to cut a small part off of that you can insert and make that Y. So we're just going to make it a little bit longer than the bendable part of our straw. And we're going to insert it right here. So easy peasy. From there, we're going to tape our Y. And you can also do this with a hot glue gun. The most important thing is to make sure that you get a good seal. You don't want air to be able to escape from your trachea and lungs. So tape that up well, put a couple pieces on. And you can even test it if you want by blowing through and seeing if any air comes out. It doesn't, so we're good. For the next step, we're going to add our lungs. And the way that you're going to want to do that is you're going to start with a balloon, and we're actually going to snip off this top part of the balloon. So if you can see here, we're going to cut it right about the part where the balloon becomes larger. So I'll just cut that, and you are going to want to expand that and attach it to the bottom part of your straw. Same thing in terms of the tape. You're going to want to make sure that you have a good seal around that balloon. So let me get that taped up. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and switch to the model that I already have created, but you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So here I have a completed model, and we can actually do a quick test and make sure that our lungs are expanding as they would with inhalation. Okay, looks like we're set to go. So for our next step, we're going to insert the straw through the hole in our cup. And we have our straw inserted through the hole in our cup. So you can imagine that the cup represents your chest cavity. And again, we have our trachea going down into our lungs. And the next part that we need to add is the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is a thick muscle that separates your chest cavity from your abdominal cavity. And it plays a critical role in breathing. When that muscle contracts or tightens, that is what allows that chest cavity to expand, your lungs to expand, and it creates a vacuum effect that allows air to go into your lungs. So in our case, we're going to create our diaphragm along the bottom of the cup using what else? Balloons. But in this case, you're actually going to go a different way. So instead of cutting off the top part, you're going to cut at the fat part. And you're also going to tie the bottom of the balloon. So I have an example here of what you would want it to look like at the end. Again, we have the fat side is where we've cut, and we have our balloon tied. So you're going to expand this and stretch it across the bottom of the cup. Okay, now you can see that we have our diaphragm balloon across the bottom of the cup. And our demonstration is actually going to come now. So when you pull on the bottom of the balloon, our diaphragm balloon, you can see that it's like we're inhaling and our lungs are expanding. When you relax it, the lungs deflate as they would when you're exhaling. So we have inhalation, taking air in, and exhalation, letting air out. So here we go. You can see that as I pull the balloon down, your lungs expand. As I let the balloon diaphragm go, they deflate. Expand, deflate, expand, deflate. So this is a perfect way that you can think of your inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation, exhalation. Okay, now for part 2 of our demonstration, where we're going to learn about asthma. So if you're not familiar with asthma is an inflammatory condition where your airways constrict and they do not let air get through. So you can imagine what that would be like through breathing through a straw. It's really simple, but it's actually a really effective way to think about what a patient with asthma might experience on a normal basis and even worse during an asthma attack. So try it. Was it harder than it is when you normally breathe without the straw? Probably not too much, but maybe a little bit. If you want to more closely replicate what it would be like to experience an asthma attack, you could try doing it with something that's even smaller than a straw, like a stir stick for coffee. Or you could try running in place or doing some jumping jacks and then coming back and trying to breathe through the straw. You know that in that case, you're going to want to take in air faster, but the straw is really going to limit that. So to recap, today we've learned how our lungs work and how the diaphragm plays a role in inhalation and exhalation. And we've also learned what it might be like to experience an asthma attack. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope you'll come back and see more Science That Activates.